Let's take a look at some numbers. The midterms, of course, on the minds of voters. Fox News polling shows 47% of voters approve of the president's job performance, up 3 points from where it was in September, almost 10% above where it was this time last year. Meanwhile, 49% of voters approve of the way President Trump is handling the economy, which should be a strong issue, you would think, for him. Let's talk about it and how this maybe compares to presidents past with Doris Kearns Goodwin, presidential historian and the author of a terrific new book, which I happen to be reading, called Leadership in Turbulent Times. Doris, thank you. I'm glad we're able to get you on today. Thank you for joining us. Is there a time that you would compare what we're going through now politically to? The president's approval rating, even though it's ticked up a few points, is still historically pretty low, even though the economy, by most measures, the stock market sell-off notwithstanding, seems to be pretty good. Would you compare this to any time in the past?
Well, normally, the economy is important in a presidential election, but in the midterms, the most important thing usually is the presidential approval rating. That's because discontent targets on the president, and structurally, it's hard for the election of the party in a midterm election anyway, because you've had bigger wins during the presidency, and as somebody said, you have a bigger backside to spank once the midterms come. But there are times, I mean, in 1966, the economy was doing great under LBJ, 6.6% growth, right, and yet he lost the midterm elections because his approval rating was not good, and the Vietnam War was heating up.
Yeah, that was Vietnam.
Right. Exactly right.
Now I suppose it's personal preference, or it's the president's personal behaviors, or people just don't like him. But it is odd, wouldn't you say, for a president to preside over this type of economy and not be more popular?
I mean, absolutely, because the economy is the way people think about their lives, their daily jobs, you know, how they feel about themselves. So as I say, that is the critical factor in a general election. But somehow these midterms are different animals. Yeah. So normally if a president's approval rating is below 50%, it does suggest a losing presidential midterm for that party. But the fact that it's ticked up could mean good news for him. If it continues to rise, then he's in much better shape than he certainly was a year ago.
Now, you write in your new book about subjects you've written a lot about in the past. You've written individual books about Abraham Lincoln, which everybody, Team of Rivals, has heard of, but also about both Roosevelt's, Teddy and FDR, and about Lyndon Johnson, who you'd worked for after he was president. Now, you write about them all together, making comparisons, talking about how they work through adversity, their comparisons in leadership styles. Where, might I ask, would this current president fit in, and to whom might you compare him?
Well, I think the most similar comparison is really the turn of the 20th century and Teddy Roosevelt, because at the turn of the 20th century, the Industrial Revolution had shaken up the economy, much as the tech revolution and globalization have done today. Yeah. For the first time, there's a gap between the rich and the poor. Immigrants are pouring in from abroad. There's a mood of anxiety in the country, and there's a populist fervor that develops. And Teddy Roosevelt was this colorful character who was the center of attention everywhere he went. They said he wanted to be the baby at the baptism and the bride at the wedding and the corpse at the funeral. And so he was able to mobilize that populist sentiment and turn it into reform in the Congress that stayed the anxiety and made people feel a sense of forward movement.
I bet Donald Trump, President Trump, would like that comparison, or are you more comparing the times rather than the leaders?
Well, I think it's the times. I mean, I think in some ways the difference is that when Teddy Roosevelt came in, that he was able to talk about a square deal for the rich and the poor, the capitalist and the wage worker. So he was able to somehow bring both of those sides together. He had the base, but he was able to expand the base, and that's what one keeps hoping, that for President Trump at some point, if he grows in office, he'll be able to expand his base and unify the country, which Teddy was finally able to do. But it took a while for him to do that.
Yeah, I wonder. All right, Doris, great to see you. I wonder if Teddy would have been big on Twitter had he
Actually,
been
he would have. He was great. He had all these pithy statements, you know, speak softly and carry a big stick.
Oh, that would have been a huge tweet.
Don't hit until, how about this one? Don't hit until you have to, but then hit hard. And he even gave Maxwell House the slogan, good to the very last drop. He'd be perfect on Twitter today. He would know how to do it.
Tens of thousands of retweets. Thank you, Doris. Great to see you. And the book, like all the other books, is terrific. Good to see you.
Thank you.